my source. And I can remember that I am unified. I'm one with this grand thing that supplies me with an infinite, unwavering, inevitable supply of everything that's for me, everything that's good. But we get these blocks or interference on all levels of our awareness that are that are, you could say, like mud on the diamond, or blocking the perception, our soul's perception to see
Right.
clearly. So, so that's the main thing that came through. And then also, Spirit said the pathway back to remembering is letting go of the past. So we'll do some of that
Mm.
today. And and I think many of us wage war against our pasts. We use just the shadowy stuff.
Yes.
It doesn't feel good. So, and there's so much new age sort of spirituality out there that says, well, we'll just make up your mind, um, be strong, think, be positive. And we're stepping over, these fragmented soul parts, or these wounded
Yes.
aspects of ourselves that are calling, for help, and they need to be tended to. So that's my experience, is if we want to create the unification, we tend to the parts that
Yes.
are in need of love, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, kindness, care, comfort. And we work with those energies, and we can dissolve, but we have to have a practice. It's not about a quick fix. We have to have a practice. We have to show up to these kinds of calls. We have to honor, presence, and respect all aspects of ourselves.
I agree. I
And
agree. And I think it's so key that we don't try to paper over or immediately say, okay, I've zapped that memory out of my awareness without going in and really understanding what was happening there. What was the higher soul perspective of that thing? Why did that come into my life? What was it? How was that there to teach or benefit my life? And if we don't integrate that, then it's just kind of out there. And then it's kind of like having, sand in the gearbox, or just like, one of the things that I put motorcycle engines together, and I rebuild them. And one of the scariest things that can happen is after you put a whole engine together, and Margo, you will get this, right? You put a whole engine together is when you've cleared your workbench, the engine is together, and then all of a sudden you find, oh my gosh, what is this washer doing here? That was
oh,
supposed to be in the engine, and it's sitting here on my bench. And you think, well, should I start it? Should I not? Where does it go? And if you start it, if that one thing is off, the whole thing could. And that's where everything has its place. And so we may dive into that a little bit. So we are. Yeah, I hate those spare parts. Yeah. It's a little scary, right? You get it, right? You're like, oh my God, that would be scary. You do not want to find an extra missing part. I want to ask you though, the multidimensional soul work and soul healing, how did you open this door? Because a lot of people may not be completely familiar with all you've done.
well, it's interesting. You're talking about the parts, all the parts, right? And so I think where things really shifted for me, gosh, this was decades ago, but in my 20s, especially,
Mm,
I had childhood trauma. And then as a result, um, manifested some depression or shut down, the parts of me, the parts that were oppressed or suppressed. And so, became depressed, sort of started getting chronic fatigue kinds of symptoms. And kind of like you say, no matter what I tried, talk
mm,
therapy, medical intervention, it just wasn't fully cutting it. It might, like the engine, it might go so far, but it wasn't
mhm.
sustainable. And thank God, I'm so grateful that I guess there was a part of me that was able to listen to my inner guidance enough to follow, to follow, to follow, to follow. And the more I sought and went inward, I realized there was a soul and a spiritual aspect, which I had access to, that had subtle information, subtle medicine
Mm,
that was so much more profound than anything in the more in my that was conscious to me or available to me in my conscious mind, like talking in my mental body, or my doing some cognitive therapy, helping with my feelings, or dealing with medical, physical manifestations with medical intervention. But when I found and accessed my soul and started really, really listening and realized that my higher self was an extension of spirit, and that if I listened to that, its mission, I found it through my heart space, was to align me with the call of my soul. And I just listened and listened, and part by part by part, it just opened the right teachers, the right support, the little miracles, the big miracles. And yeah, with time and a spiritual practice, I got really, really clear that, again, my trauma occurred in relationship to my world, and also to people. So it needed to happen in relationship. The healing needed to happen in relationship. And the surest, most direct, most loving relationship I found was with my source.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's just being on calls like this.
Yeah.
Thanks to people like you, Darius,
Oh,
who
yeah.
who created space, right? For you to sit with yourself long enough to hear the whisper, to hear the call. So I invite everyone today to, we'll create safety. I think that's the single most important thing too, is I found safe people, safe communities, a place where I was safe enough to relax and tend to all
Yeah.
aspects of myself. And yeah, miracle after miracle.
Yeah. We're
I
going to talk
have.
about some of those. It's very interesting. I like the fact that it's very clear that you're communicating to the audience that they are not here alone. They're not doing this alone. You're not expected to do this alone. You don't have to fix or figure it all out alone. In fact, one of the things that you do is something called higher love soul activations. Explain a little bit about that. Why the name higher love soul activate? I love the name, but what is relevant about that? I know there's no accidents, especially with how you alchemize with words and frequency, but tell us about those.
So higher love is accessible through the heart space.
Mm,
And because we're multidimensional beings, we need multidimensional healing. And that is available to us in the higher realms, in the higher frequencies with spirit, with our higher self,
that's right.
in support of our soul.
That's right.
So, and all the work I do is through the heart and bridging sort of the parts of us that are more conscious in our human experience to these more subtle realms, subtle frequencies, healing medicine as energy is light and love, and direct tools to access those parts of ourselves. So we'll access spirit as your source, and hopefully you'll all leave again with the reminder that you are not alone. You have not been forsaken or forgotten. We're all in this together. Imagine you're one spoke on the wheel, right? There's a
Right.
center and a source, and we're all just spokes on the wheel. But all of my work, my framework is, I love self-practice. I think it's important. Like, so, there's tools for self-practice in my work so that you can either listen to audios or work with affirmations, things like that, that you can do on your own. But the group, when we do this work together, there's
Mm,
just a coming home to that unification, or to unity, to humanity, and the reflections in the group. Someone might share, and that's the one thing that the whole group needed to hear. So I like doing the group work, the self work, and then also the one-on-ones, because the one-on-ones, we can dive in more personally to your very specific blocks. And
right.
on a multidimensional level, like you were saying, you might have something at the level of your soul. You might have a
Mm-hmm.
soul lesson that's trying to come into completion, need some help or illumination to come into rest and completion with a soul lesson. It might be that you're blocked to spirit. You feel forsaken, you feel forgotten. So perhaps you're feeling punished. There might be
Yes.
energy blocking you from believing that you're worthy of abiding in the house of God or source. So we want to bring in the energies of belonging. That energy is coming through right now. That's we're talking and you're talking. So it's like, just even see if you can feel into the energies of belonging. It's healing, right? It's pouring in right now. And
Wow.
so we do that work in group, and that work is beautiful if it's done in an immersive over time, because we're training ourselves to receive, right, in new ways, these energies, this love, this compassion, this connection. And then we'll be more and more resourced,
Why do you
right?
say, Margo, that the soul is always in charge? I tend to agree with that. I mean, I do agree with that. But for people that may be wondering, okay, how do you know that? Or how can I trust that if maybe things aren't going right in my life? Why do you say that?
I think it's really important to help people differentiate between your soul self and your spirit self. Some people kind of
Oh,
just
that's
clump them
true.
all together.
This now, can I make a point? This is so interesting because I've done this show for about 15 years now. And for the first 14 and a half years, I honestly cannot remember if anybody can go back and find any interview on YouTube or anything from anyone where spirit and soul, the difference or sort of like the dichotomy between the two came up and we dissected it. I do not remember. And I was kind of like, just, okay, I don't know. I've never, and then all of a sudden this year, this has come up 3 times. So it's
Yay.
super important for us to understand this. So Margo, please
Yay.
explain that a little bit, and anything else. I know I'm
I love
hitting you with
this.
a lot of questions.
I love the synchronicities again, right? Pay
Yeah,
attention to those things
crits
that come
wild.
across your table. So yeah, it's so important. So because if we clump them together, it's just sort of this higher sense of self that's coming through and
Yes.
hopefully supporting us in this nebulous way. We want our awareness, our consciousness to become more refined, because I believe the more we understand it, the more we can open and trust it. So the soul asks, or let's start with spirit, because it's the highest form of you, right?
Okay.
So the spiritual aspect of us, we are all made in the likeness of spirit or source,
Okay.
good orderly direction,
Mm.
divine order, God of your own understanding. But it's a highest good, and it's whole, it's wholeness, it's perfectly healthy, it's
Mm.
abundant, it's just it's inspiring. So in spirit, it's if you think spirit, you think, oh, it's inspiring, and it's easy, it's grace. We're all made in the likeness of that, and our higher self is our spiritual aspect of self, and it's an extension of this one true source, as light, as love. And we all feel it. That's the part of us that we return to when we want to feel inspired, or we want guidance or support from the highest order. It's almost like my sense is that life was too good with just the spiritual aspect of self, because everything was glorious and wonderful.
Right.
So it's like the soul broke off, if you can think of it that way, from the spirit. Said, well, I need more meaning. I need more purpose and meaning, and I need to bump up against something so that I can deepen. And so the soul aspect of us, or you, or the group here, is the part of us that has lived many lifetimes
Yes.
in many dimensions. And that's the part of us that stores, you've all probably heard of the Akashic records, but
Yes.
stores the subjective experiences. So that's what we're going to look at today, is we need to address the subjective experiences with love. And so we work, that's when a miracle happens, is when the soul aligns with the light, and there's enough light to clear the lens of the soul, because the
Oh.
soul's holding these subjective experiences that are projected through this distorted lens. And so all layers, all levels, we want to nourish the connection to our spirit and make sure that connection is direct and there's an influx, and we believe we belong, and that we're part of, and that we get to be here, and we get to be supported with this unwavering, inevitable, constant supply of source energy.
So the
And then
soul, the soul is not always like perfect. The soul is not, completely cleared, as you said very, very clearly, that the soul can carry memories and experiences and can be the holder of the Akash, right?
yeah,
So the
and
miracles happen, you said, when the soul aligns
with spirit.
with spirit, and the light actually cleanses the lens
of
of
the soul.
soul.
And the
Wow. Can
cleansing is
someone write that for me down? And
the,
and
the cleansing is
transcribe
the
that.
those are karmic imprints. So the cleansing, the things that get on the lens, they're karmic imprints. So and right now, for instance, in the collective, if any of you are feeling anxious or sort of this um, overwhelm, the souls right now, as a collective, are coming into rest and completion. They want to complete a lot of old karmic patterns, karmic penalty, and we can sense it because we're highly sensitive people. Everyone here, I'm sure, is. So we sense this need to come into completion, but some of this stuff is ancient, right? And so we can connect with source, bring the light in, and ask our subconscious minds to show us what wants to go today. You know, what part of my soul, because that's why it's called a soul activation. That's why the soul's in charge. And the interesting thing, it kind of helps us understand too, like when you said things might not look the way we want them to,
Mm-hmm.
or things might not work out. And if we maintain our faith, we trust that everything is for us, because sometimes the soul wants us to have the lesson more than our soul wants us to have everything, because the soul's seeking meaning and understanding and purpose. And so we cultivate that through these subjective experiences at a soul level. But we have
What
to be in constant communion with our soul to tend to it, to let it know that we'll support it with desire, faith, setting goals, perhaps, faith, desire, setting goals, acting on our goals. Like, so we're reassuring our soul that we're supporting it to come into rest
mm,
and completion with these lessons. And yet, and then we can also access the light, which is going to help illuminate for us more and more awareness, because we need the awareness to support our soul.
where
And
does the light can I jump in with this? Where does the light come from? Say access the light. Okay.
so we're
Some people
going
might say, okay, that's spirit, but tell me about the light. Do you
So there are very specific steps we can take. And that again is spiritual practice, just deepening your spiritual practice with tools
okay.
and finding people who can teach you or share with you. That if ascended masters are coming to mind, right? So the ascended masters are those who mastered ascension or finding the light. And so we can turn to the ascended masters, we can turn to one another. We all, mentors who are, they just need to be two steps ahead of you to help you. You give me one tip today. I hope you leave with a few
Mm,
tips today so you can access more light. But there's very specific things, at least in my experience, we can do to create a direct lightning path to source. We're doing a few things there. We want to invoke, right, with a prayer. Like if we don't ask, that's the soul's free will to ask. So we invoke with
mm,
prayer. If we don't ask, we don't get. So they won't, they know we have the free will to choose. So they will not support us. Spirit or other spiritual beings will not support us unless we ask. So the power of prayer, intention. So we'll set a prayer and intention today. Our intention today is I want to live. Just feel it,
I
sense it,
noticed that in the notes, and I was like, I want to live. And I
and
thought,
I
well,
think,
that's interesting. Don't we
yes,
all want to live? And then a little part of me said, don't be so sure. Some people don't want to stay on Earth, or they may feel Earth is too
it's
difficult, or they
actually
feel
it's very difficult for many light workers to be on Earth.
you're right.
Yeah,
You've
the
nailed it.
density, right? Again, it's only a part of us, but it's the
Yeah.
density. And so it's like we support these parts. And yeah, I want to live. We access the light and we can make a direct connection by intention prayer. We want to clear blocks to the connection. We want to close our auric field so there's not interference. We want to ask, download the high frequency energies of spirit. And then we want to protect ourselves, like put up fire shields of protection so that we're safe, we're immune, and we're in this highest form of higher love as a neutral channel between heaven and earth. Then we access through our heart space We go deeper in there, but it's all illuminated, right? It's light. And we ask for so much clarity to come through. And in that resource space, we can ask our subconscious to show us the parts. And we'll do that today. The parts that aren't so sure about
Mm,
living right now. It might just
yes.
be a part of you that's tired.
Yes.
It might be a part of you that's tired that's been appeasing people and cannot appease one more person one more time.
Can I ask you, because we are going to take some callers, but one of the things that is very unique, I feel, as to how you do some of the work is you have something called the Soul Freedom Portal. So actually, we're going to be talking about what is in that. There's some things you're doing live where there's live Soul Freedom Portal work. What is the Soul Freedom Portal, Margo? How do you define that?
The Soul Freedom Portal is it's portal meaning it's access. It's giving you
It's, oh,
access.
access to it. Yes.
Yeah, Soul Freedom Portal means you're going to find your soul, your highest soul expression or freedom for your soul through this portal, which is through the heart space. And there'll be some self-directed work to get activations at the soul level. There'll be group processes to learn together how to make a direct connection to spirit, how to embody your
Oh,
higher self, right? And then also, how do we work with these energies like care, comfort, and compassion to dissolve and heal these parts that are interfering, that are stuck in the subconscious, right? So it's like we're going into this portal together. You'll do some one-on-one. The prayer activations are in the portal as well. Those are audio activations that are going to activate your higher self-awareness with the high frequency energies of love, faith, of trust. You get more love, more faith, more trust, then you get more clarity. Then with more clarity, you get more alignment. And it just builds back to wholeness.
right. And I got the sense that one of the things you said, and then I just lost my train of thought. So I was like, oh my God, I want to jump in. But I know it's all in divine timing, was that as we connect to more light, like you said, we go back to a little bit of that framework. Did anyone transcribe that for me? I said, please transcribe it. Because when we can actually align to light, we can clean the lens of the soul, clear the lens of the soul through the light. And then you said that's when we can begin to experience what we might call miracles, is when
Mhm.
spirit cleanses that lens of the soul. And here, that's one of the things that Soul Freedom Portal is like helping us connect to that
Yeah,
light. Some of those prayers and the compassion is helping us to clean the lens, right?
yeah. And
Um, mhm,
and
mhm.
that is the prep. Like it's sort of like a set, right? Like we prep, we prime ourselves. But the single most important piece, I think, that's deepened my healing to the most profound level, and the piece that dissolves the interference at all levels of our being, physically, emotionally, mentally, or soulfully, is compassion.
Yeah,
Compassion.
I want to talk about that compassion. Why not just zap it away? What about we just, it's gone.
Well, we can use the energy. We can use the energy, right? So we can work with the energy for direct healing to zap it away, and it will to an extent. But
I always find I have to unpack it,
yeah,
like I
again,
gotta go
that's
in.
that's the compassion key, because that healing will only happen that's real and sustainable if it's done in relationship. So when we bring the compassion statements in, or the forgiveness statements in this beautiful realm of neutrality where we're resource, we say out loud, for example, I'm so sorry that you, and this is your
Mm,
higher self and spirit talking to that part of you, usually the younger versions of you, inner child, or perhaps past lives, or parts entangled with ancestors. These parts that
yes.
are so stuck, but we have to tend to them with direct compassion, care,
Mm,
understanding, and through the voice, we activate the light, and through the voice with these energies, it spills over and releases all the projections that come in through the ears and the throat or the back of the neck. And so this is where we hold a lot of those projections from other people. And then we allow through the voice, and then we bring in the energy to support the statements to come in through the heart and go exactly where it needs to
go
go.
where it needs to go. Hmm.
And yeah, and then you'll feel a shift. It's like it's the embodiment of that new
Eh,
energy and giving it space to presence that which has been harmful, where
mm,
originally I think we've been afraid of our shadow, and so we've waged
right.
war against it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna take some callers. I don't know, it's there's so many serendipities today, and as I was gonna read this. Don't be scared by this, everyone, but this is something that touched me today. This is from the Gospel of Thomas. A lot of people feel like this was kind of like left out of the Bible, it's like left out of the church. This is actually like Jesus's teachings to his disciples, which is kind of like the real meaty stuff is like what I'm going to tell you behind closed doors. I can't tell anyone else because if I tell them, they're going to like kill me sooner, right? I'm going to get persecuted. But this is what Gospel of Thomas, verse 70. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you
Yes.
bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. So if we're like, I don't want to face that, I don't want to bring that forward and heal it or turn it into light. I want to just sort of keep it away. I don't want to deal with that. Where do we know now that perhaps the emotional causes of disease, breakdowns,
Yes.
challenges come from, right?
And I think
Comes
a really important piece in that is the nervous system. So
Oh,
what's,
absolutely. I mean, like
yeah,
they knew that this is coming from 2000 years ago. And it's like, yes, right.
yeah.
Destroy at all levels, right? Relationships, families, abundance, connection to source, body, everything. So, what I want to do, I know people are going to say, you guys are amazing. Can we take some callers and maybe walk through for people, maybe a little mini help or a little mini guide? Maybe we just clear some smudges, right? So some light can come
Yeah.
in. Can we do
Or
that? Okay.
can we do a collective connection first?
Sure, but we still have the group process, like probably in about
Oh, okay, we're gonna do a
yeah.
group process. Okay.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna do
could just
that
check in
too.
with people to see where they're at.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're
I just
gonna
wanted to make sure everyone was all connected. But
oh yeah, we're gonna do that probably around 40, 50 minutes. So in about 15 minutes. Got a lot
okay.
going on, everyone. I love it. Okay, let me go to some callers. So, Margo, anything you need from people, and we do this certainly to help kind of folks through things or just kind of start to open the door. Anything you need from folks once we unmute them?
No, I think just I would like actually, yes, I want
Okay.
everyone to feel into the intention. So, because I've got us all connected, we're all prepared to work, we're connected to spirit. I'm just going to confirm yes. So, I would invite everyone to feel into the intention that I want to live and say it 3 times out loud.
Oh,
I want to live.
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 Yeah, and so I want to highlight too that just like you said, Darius, we're not asking you to hold this intention like a Pollyanna statement. No one's going to ask you to muscle it, make it work, talk, say it to yourself 10 times until you believe it. We're using it as a diagnostic. Okay. So we're just using it as a statement. Say, I want to live so that the parts of you
Mm,
that want to live can wake up. And then also the
mm,
parts that are saying, I'm not so sure how I feel about life right now, they're going to get activated. Okay. So we just want you to sense into. So it's like when you say, I want to live, what do you notice? What do you feel?
mm.
Yeah. See, some Penny put living versus just existing. So there's a part, Penny, I'm so sorry that there's a part of you that's just existing, right? I would love to live. I'm so sorry that you're yearning for, life, but it's not quite there right now. A lot of grief comes up for Becky. Yeah, so just notice. What do you notice? And let it all be
Mm.
okay, right? We're all safe. We're going to bring in the safety of one another in spirit and lots of resources. So just, if you can, honor. You might want to write down anything that comes up. And Jesse put, I'm very tired. I'm so sorry you're tired. So just write down the parts maybe on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
You don't
Rebecca,
want to live or not sure about it.
I'm trying to live, but things seem to be against me.
I'm
Like,
so
yeah.
I'm so sorry things seem to be against you. Yeah, and we just really need to tend to these parts because they need love and care and
Mhm.
kindness and understanding. So just let the parts be here. Put them on a piece of paper. It might be the part that's tired of appeasing. It might be the part, maybe it's physical. Maybe you're battling an illness. Yeah, you feel Lydia feels blocked. Just it might just be a sensation in your body. I feel blocked. Just put the sensations in my body where I feel blocked. Oh, I'm so sick of that feeling. What do you feel? What do you notice?
Deb, existing, not living, poverty, eviction, family rejection. I pray I live soon. There's a lot
Yeah.
of existence
Ooh,
versus really living. Yeah.
yeah. So just maybe it's the parts that have gone numb. I'm so sorry you feel numb.
Mm.
I'm so sorry you've had shingles 30 times. Yeah, and then maybe, you could write a list of the impact of these things. And we can address all of those with compassion and understanding and forgiveness. So it's like, can you feel the grace coming into the space? Can you feel that, Darius?
Oh, I felt it the whole call. I mean,
Yeah, the
people are
grace,
feeling your presence kind of just wrapping us all in a blanket. We're
the
very
grace
unified
is
today.
coming. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And there's so much
Hmm.
care here. And so just let that was so before we have some questions, let's just feel into that. And then feel into right on the paper, even if one part comes up today that's not so sure about life right now. That's enough. We deal with it one part at a time. One part at
Yeah,
a
I
time.
love this. I mean, I love you facilitating it because I'm like, yeah, we could take callers, we can keep working through the group. Maybe let's take a caller or so, and
Yeah.
then
So
we
from this
are going to
space,
work through some group stuff here in about 10 minutes. So, Rebecca came through to us, and Rebecca, I know you wrote into us a good bit ago, but I'm going to unmute you here. And I got the sense you were just kind of getting tired of all the things feeling so hard. What's going on, Rebecca? You're live with Darius and Margo today.
I'm hoping you can hear me.
I
I
sure
can.
can.
The other day you couldn't
Becca.
hear me at all.
I remember that. I'm so sorry. Yes, I can hear you perfectly. It's all divine timing. Thanks for sticking with us.
No. Yeah, I have met someone I want to be with, and he's in one part of the world and I'm in the other, and we just can't seem to get together because neither one of us has enough wherewithal to do it.
She's
And
met
it's
someone
like,
in the other part of the world. Neither one of them seems to have the wherewithal to get together. Sounds like she's saying.
yes, I'm sorry. Um,
So you mean the wherewithal? Can you tell me more about the wherewithal? Is that energy? Is that finances? What
finances,
finance?
Finances.
finances,
Okay. So yeah, it's just bring in that part that feels blocked financially.
and my son is tired of me living here, so he wants me gone.
I'm having trouble hearing you,
Yeah,
My
Rebecca.
could you repeat
son,
that, Rebecca?
I said my son is tired of me being around. He wants me gone.
Oh, he's tired of, he says her son is wanting her to move out or be gone.
Right. So things are just kind of building up.
Hmm.
And I get all these energy help from people. And I try
Hmm.
to do everything they tell me, but nothing's changed.
Yeah, I'm hearing her say, I'm just going to check in for you. What spirit wants you to know about this? So spirit's showing me the first thing that's coming up that's sort of defending is there's a focus on other people, right? So the focus is outside of self, on the partner, on your son, which is understandable. And thank you for bringing this into the space because we all have this going on. Okay? We
Mm.
all have codependent patterns where we're so frustrated and we look outside of ourselves to find the answer. So spirit's showing you that yeah, there's been a lot of compliance with what other people are asking of you.
Mm.
And
Yes.
and and opening to the awareness of just how much you're supported from within. And spirit saying involved. So this is the task for all of us, is staying involved, fully involved in these relationships, but be remaining the detached witness with compassion. So the number one response always to anyone or anything outside of us, be it partners on the other side of the world or sons or partners or people we live with, is when we feel triggered or we're getting into appeasement or compliance, we come back to self with compassion. And I'm so sorry, you don't feel supported at this time, financially or in other ways, right?
Been that way for a while. It's been that way for a while.
Yeah, and I'm
So,
so sorry this has been going on for so long.
so what we could be looking at, it sounds like something, a bit of a soul, like you kind of said, like an imprint, a smudge, something there that now, yes, we're going to acknowledge it, but we want to bring the light in so that this clears away and this is no longer a pattern. So, Rebecca, stay with us because I think one of the things we're going to be doing will be very helpful to do that today. So, it sounds like this has been going on a while. This is a pattern. We're going to dive in more. I want to go to Eleanor. Eleanor, you're live with Margo. What is going on with you? And how can we support you today? Eleanor M. See if we can get you unmuted here. Got a lot of people raise their hand. If not, we'll go to someone else. But Eleanor, sending you the best I can an unmute request. And then once I unmute another person, she'll unmute. All right. So then we're gonna go once, twice. Okay, we're gonna go to Becky. Becky, I think you wrote into the chat, sending you an unmute request. What's going on, Becky?
Hey,
Becky.
thank you so
Hi.
much for today. It's been so beautiful. Can you
Oh,
hear
yeah.
me?
I sure
Hi,
can.
Becky.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, great.
I think we got
Hello,
both. See, I
Eleanor.
told y'all we got both.
Hello?
All right, Eleanor, 1 second. We're going to go to Becky and then I'll come back to you. That's the way it works. It's fun.
Okay. You can hear me now? Everything's good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I really related to your path, Margo, because I've been from childhood trauma too, that I blocked out for many, many years. So the last, I've been healing that. And even with the I want to live statement, there's just still grief and a part of me that I think is just really there to live. And I've done so much work, healing safety, and I think it's starting to build. But I was just wondering if you have any more insight or advice, because it sounds like you have a similar path, and the safety piece seems to be really, really big.
Yeah. So I can feel your nervous system right off the bat. Right. Yeah. And so just pulling forward those parts that are scared to be exposed. Yeah. For fear of more harm. Right. And just we're going to connect to the direct connection to spirit and that infinite, unwavering supply of safety and immunity and protection for you. So just let that light come down upon you and really feel it coming around you with that protection. And see if you can feel into the parts of you that are resourced. Because we want to create safety in the body, right? Through our vehicle. And then we do this beautiful thing to titrating between the parts that feel resourced with spirit and our higher self. And then we just go right up to the edge of the part that feels afraid, right? So the part that's afraid of grief, just feeling the amount of grief that's there. You don't want to go into all the grief all at once, right? We want to do this lovely titration, keep you nice and safe. Spirit's bringing all this beautiful compassion, understanding in. Make the safety, the immunity, the integrity of you and your spiritual operating system the priority. And then you just tap up to the edge of the grief. And then we bring in some compassion statements. It's just, I'm so sorry that there's so much grief. And I'm so sorry that it's stuck in your body. I'm so sorry it's wreaking havoc in your world. So sorry you're tired of it. I'm so sorry they didn't teach you how to release this. I'm so sorry you feel despair or overwhelmed with the amount of grief that you have to process. And just send all that warmth and golden light and energy into those parts that are showing up for you at this moment. I'm going to see what other energies are attached to this for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's an energy, so it's the dominance, Becky. Okay, so there's this fear of being dominated. Makes me want to cry.
Does that make sense, Becky, on your end?
Yeah,
If,
that makes
if you
sense.
feel
Yeah,
comfortable
the
sharing,
trauma
sorry.
is really.
Yeah, so we're going to ask
Yeah.
Spirit to clear the energies of dominance for you. So we can ask that it be done for you. We command We ask our subconscious to show us every single day moving forward for you, Becky, and everyone that we can handle dominance because we're connected to source, we're resourced, we have compassion, we can heal ourselves, we can heal humanity, and you can become the light. And when you bump up against anyone who's dominating, it will just bounce off you. But it's dominance, and it's, of course, you're afraid of dominance, and it's showing up as doubt. And so, I'm so sorry you didn't have the faith. I'm so sorry people didn't show you the way. I'm so sorry they didn't teach you how to handle dominance or meet those parts of you that were dominated. It's not okay. And presence and honor those parts and just send them so much love and forgiveness for the ways in which they learn to cope, for hiding, bring in the understanding, and bring in those healing streams of grace. And just ask that part if it's willing to be held in a new way with grace and care, and see if it's willing in preparing for our healing together. If just this part, it's afraid of being dominated or doubts its capacity to step up to this grief. Stop that little part if it's willing to receive some love and care today and integrate back into your wholeness with you today.
What are you feeling, Becky? What, and if you feel called to share at all?
Well, first of all, yeah, the part says yes, and this whole thing is really emotional and beautiful, and yeah, the dominant resonated, and all the passion statements. I've just been crying this whole time.
Yeah, it's huge. Wow.
Time to take care of those parts, Becky. I'm just gonna, it's also important that we call in the missing forces. So Spirit's showing me the missing forces for you were care. You didn't receive the care. So I'm so sorry you didn't receive the care you needed.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so this is going back to the color before you too, Becky, because I don't think I spoke to it, is desire. So back to Rebecca's statement, right? We're all being called as a collective to release these parts that block us, tend to them. But then we really want to step into, we put our own wants, preferences, and desires on hold because we're out of our body dealing, hypervigilant and looking for all the next dominant, attack. So once we can clear the dominance, you can come back and Spirit's guiding you with care, one step at a time, to learn. Trauma recovery, it's not dealing with the trauma, it's learning how to receive desire again, right? To bring in joy, to bring, people who've experienced trauma sometimes don't even know what they want or prefer. So Spirit's saying it's your time. You're ready to, it's time for you to say, what do I want? What do I desire? And perhaps from your healing or your experiences and your healing, the purpose work, like the work that's going to come through you to support other people with the same. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very,
Thank you,
very
Becky.
aligned. I feel like I've healed like the dark part of the trauma, but the joy, safety and desire and purpose is where I'm trying to get to. So I really appreciate this. This has been so beautiful and healing. Thank you.
Yeah, I have goosebumps all over my body. Spirit saying to me, through my high self and your high self, that you're right on track. So trust that. That's your intuition. It says that's what you want. So you can work with that to highlight what you want to live for, and then tend to the other parts with all that love and light to dissolve them. It's all possible.
Yeah, I love how you took these different pieces. And I want to ask, when this was coming into you, how are you shown? When you're working with someone one-on-one, and we are going to get to the group process, guys, I swear we got to start soon. But when you are working with people one-on-one, how is these pieces, what needs to be worked on is showing up for you, which I think is amazing. And it's very nuanced. How does that come in, Margo, for you?
Yeah, gosh, I go like this. So I'm connected to source. My high self is connected to everyone's high self here and source. So my high self is talking to your high self. And then that comes through me, and my body acts like a pendulum. But I also work with pendulum. And I have stacks of charts, which I've downloaded and programmed with Spirit to show me provides me insight, access to the higher self-awareness or wisdom as to what's going on for this person. So it's like it comes through me, and then I get the feedback. It tells me where to go. I verify, and then I check in with myself. Yeah, this is what's happening.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, everyone, this is a real treat, and she's very nuanced with this, as you can see. And you mentioned something about bringing in pieces, but you know what? We are going to unpack more, and we're going to hear more about some of the stories and things that have happened with this work. But I think, Margo, we've got to do this process that dovetails into what we started, which was this I want to live higher love soul activation that we're going to be doing. So whenever you're ready, let's begin.
Okay, so I'm gonna sort of set you up so you understand, because I do believe the more you understand what you're doing, you can relax into it. So real quick, we're going to use the 3 keys, which are components of my work. So we're going to help you make a direct connection to source, which is your infinite, unwavering, constant supply of energy as medicine, love, light, all that stuff. We're going to provide direct healing. We're going to clear your connection. So hopefully you don't believe anymore that you've been forsaken after this call by God. You're going to feel reconnected to your source. We're going to download your higher self. I'm just going to give you a really quick taste. We can go so much more deeply into this, but we want you to have a sense of who your higher self is. What does it feel like? And we're going to just give you a little opportunity to embody your higher self a little bit more. Okay, so you're going to be in this nice juicy place where it's neutral. We're going to ground you. You're connected to source. And then we're going to say the intention out loud. And I want you to pay attention to the parts or part. And we're just going to tend to that part that's not so sure about living right now. And we're going to ask for direct healing. I'm going to get information probably that's going to come through. We'll bring some compassion statements through. We're also going to use a 6-pointed star, and we're going to use 6 healing energies and statements to address these parts. And then we'll activate the star, bring it through, and we'll bring you back to your heart space. And then we're going to check back with the intention to see if you experienced a shift. That makes sense?
Oh, it sounds amazing. So everyone who's listening in on the social sites, you're going to want to go to our main UWealth Revolution server to get the full interview. It's uwealthrevolution.com/Margo30. Everyone on Zoom, you're good. But if you're on a social site like YouTube, we're going to look at the description. There's a link. And so we're going to cut the live stream and then everything, and even the uncensored comments, everything else is going to be on our server. So we'll see all the social